In this video, I'm going to do a lesson walkthrough for Unit 4, Day 18, lesson Causes of the Great Depression. In the first video, I'm just going to walk through the lesson itself, and then in the second video, I'm going to show you how I would use a Google document for this lesson to assign it to students. So this is a pretty long lesson. You might consider splitting it into 2 days or going through the lesson before teaching it and taking out some pieces that you don't find to be as important for your kids. And reminders to do that are in the note to teachers at the beginning of the lesson. So first thing is you want to make sure you're really familiar with the resources, because students are going to be looking at these pretty in depth. And you can find them all in the student workbook, which I'll show you in just a moment. And there are some really helpful notes to teachers here. So remembering that, again, everything is available in the student notebook, student workbook, if you're using that. Also, this note here, which is actually on 2 slides, once we get to this portion of this lesson where students are analyzing economists' points of view, it might be helpful for some students for you as a teacher to categorize those before they get started. It's not done in the lesson, and I don't do it on my Google Doc, but I can definitely see how it'll help some students just get the ideas and the understandings of the causes of the Great Depression. Okay, so the lesson is asking students what the causes and effects of the Great Depression were, but you are focusing mostly on the causes during this period. And they're going to do 2 major tasks. They're going to analyze a political cartoon, which is an awesome political cartoon, and they're going to read a fictional, so it is important to know that it is a fictional conversation between economists to determine the causes of the Great Depression. So the beginning of the lesson is a lot of background information. This slide is just a little bit of an intro, sort of a hook for students if you're teaching them synchronously, and they can discuss this or write their answers in. There is a very short, about 2.5-minute video provided just to give students an understanding of what was going on right at the beginning or right before the Great Depression started. And then there's 2 slides with a lot of context, a lot of history. So however you want to share this to your students is up to you, and I'll show you one way in the Google Doc in the next video. But you might have students take turns reading sections out loud. You might replace these 2 slides with more spread out sort of lecture style notes. Another thing you can do is you can have students create a timeline after or during looking at the information on these slides. Then we jump into the cartoon. So this is a cartoon called "The Depression is All His Fault," and it is a bunch of people or figures pointing at each other, blaming them for the Great Depression. And it's a great way for kids to just understand that there were lots of causes of the Great Depression. There was lots of blame placed. I think it's really rich, and I think kids and just everyone can take a lot out of this cartoon. So it does ask you a couple of questions. One of my problems with Google Slides is that you have to have your cartoon on one slide and you're answering it on the other, which is why I do move this all to Google Docs, because I think I really like to have it all in one place. But you're having students answer really 3 questions about the cartoon. What's the main idea? What characters are noticed represented? And why are these characters important in understanding the artist's message? At the end of the lesson, for the wrap-up, students are going to revisit the political cartoon. So they are doing this work, and then at the end of the lesson, they'll revisit it. The next thing students are going to be doing is taking a look at, again, these pretend or fake economists' points of view on why the Great Depression happened. And so there is a chart in the student workbook, which looks like what's on the slide here. They answer what was the cause, why would this cause the Great Depression, cite and explain their evidence, create and question for further inquiry. There's a model for the teacher for you to do with students before you get started, or you can use the video which I created, which is specifically student facing, which does this model for them. You can just have them watch that video. So once you've modeled this, your your economist's point of view here, economist number one, you'll model filling in the chart for that cause or for that economist's point of view. This can be modified, and I'm going to show you one way of modifying it in the next video because I think it can be pretty time consuming. Another thing you can do here is you can pick and choose if you want to have students do all 6 economists or if you want them to just do 4 or 3. You might also make an extension here. So, have everyone say you have to do economist 1 through 4, and then if you want to extra credit, you can do economist 5 through 6. But after the first one, the rest of them are similarly completed, but these are independent work. So they'll read the economist and they'll answer the questions on the chart, which I do set up a little differently in the Google Doc, which I'll show again in the next video. This can be done both in your synchronous lesson or independently, but it is time consuming and it will take a while. So you want to just consider how much time you want to give for this chart and these 6 economists. I mean, these are pretty dense readings. Once you have given time for students to do that, or you've had them do it on their own for homework or in an asynchronous lesson, you're at the wrap up of the lesson. So here, you quickly revisit the political cartoon. This is meant to be a discussion. So what do you think the artist's purpose was in creating the Depression is His Fault cartoon? It's meant to be a discussion between kids, but you are also welcome to have them answer the question in the blue box. And then the check for understanding, wrapping everything that they've done together based on the readings. Who do the economist and thus the cartoonist believe was to blame for the Depression? Use evidence from the documents to support your conclusion. There really should be more than one, thing or person in this response. And so that's the basic run through of the lesson, Unit 4, Day 18. If you want to see how I would implement it with Google Docs, please check out the next video.